Hey, this is Pete A. Turner, executive producer and host of the Break It Down show, with today's episode featuring my man Vito Pellicano, who is the producer of the web series called Search for Aliveness. Now, we've had on the host of this, Chad Gabriel, before, talking about how they go out into the world looking for what aliveness is, studying it, and bringing back us these incredible shows that illustrate it. You can watch these things simply by going to YouTube and typing Search for Aliveness, and definitely subscribe to their channel. These are wonderful little bits of humanity in a time when there's so much not that, and there's so much struggle and strife that we see represented. Here are folks putting together fantastic things. Now, this is the thing that's kind of crazy to me. This is a project that they fund internally at their company they work at. Their company is called Tuthill. You can go to tuthill.com and you can watch all kinds of things about their culture and everything else. And their boss, the guy who owns it, the guy whose name is on the building, is Jay Tuthill. And I'm hoping that we can get him on the show. And his approach to how he runs his company bleeds all the way down to the bottom, where you have guys like Chad and Vito, and they're creating these things. And you hear Jay's mentorship, not just on business, but on community, on life, and how he invests in people trying to truly become alive and live their best life. I think this is going to be a fantastic episode. We get so many things that we cover that are hard and complex. Here today, we're going to slow down and enjoy some of the sweetness of life and understand how to better get to that ourselves. And I think this is enormously valuable. So go with me on this journey if you would. Now listen, if you're new to the show, let me tell you this. We have all kinds of guests. We have screenwriters, musicians, combat warriors, authors, PhDs talking about completely fascinating conversations. We have so many different things. We've got members of Congress from the U.S. We've had people running for office in other countries. You will find out that we sort of, in our own way, search for aliveness, and we look for things that enrich life, and we illustrate that. So we're on common paths, and I hope you continue to go on this joyful ride with us. Subscribe. That's the best way. Here's the thing. When I interact with you, and you're like, hey, tell me when the next show is coming out, I'm going to say to you, please subscribe. Just do that, because we'll I'll engage with you. I can't tell the thousands of you, hey, the show's out. I do that by publishing it. And if you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, YouTube, breakitdownshow.com, you will get notified when that happens. And that would be a big help to me. And as always, subscribing is a great way to help support the show. Other thing I always say, and you guys know it's coming, save the brave, savethebrave.org. What we do every day is help save veteran lives. We take them deep sea fishing, we build community around them, and they start to get a little bit better. It's true, it works, and if that's something that you're passionate about, we can use your help, your time, your money, your attention, even if you have a special capacity, even if you just like, hey, at your golf event, let me drive things around. I'm in Southern California, I'll come down and I'll run 2 hours worth of errands for you. Do you know how valuable that is to a charity? Oh my God. Well, listen, enough about that. Here comes Vito Pellicano.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay
This
Moore.
is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick
This
Marotta.
is Stuart Copeland. This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Vito Pellicano, and I'm with the Break It Down show.
Yeah, Vito Pellicano is working on a project called The Search for Aliveness. I guess you would call it what Vito? A web series that you and Chad Gabriel are doing with Tuthill. And of course, we've got to mention Magda, because she's part of the project as well. We don't want to leave her out, Eric and Magda. You guys have been doing this for a while, because Chad and I talked about it like just as you guys you had a few in the can, but nothing was really launched yet. What has transpired over the last little more than a year since you guys have been on this journey?
Well, we released 7 episodes, and we're able to go to Mexico and Africa, Zambia, for 2 of our worldly explorations. But yeah, 7 episodes so far, and we're just getting started to start film season 2.
Nice. Okay, so what's in store for us for season 2?
Well, so we cast our net out wide, right? We went and our goal was to search the world and not just get the Illinois perspective of aliveness, just get different cultures, races, beliefs, lifestyles, all that good stuff,
right?
And different perspectives regarding aliveness. So we're gonna go for Japan this year,
Okay.
We're also going to bring it internal for Tuthill. We're a manufacturing company, and we have these awesome foundational markets, right, that are really for human life. So we're going to try to grab a customer of ours to interview him or her regarding what they do to feel alive and what they promote out into the world.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us
Yeah.
first off where people can find the work, because there is quite a bit there, and I want to make sure folks can go out and check it out on YouTube or wherever it is.
So the easiest way would be going to the website, thesearchforaliveness.com.
Okay.
And that just embeds all our YouTube videos, each episode. If they want, which we would love, is to go to Facebook and like and follow us. We also put the episodes out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be putting the episodes on IGTV this year. We're going to re-release the first 7 starting at the end of this month, putting those out on IGTV.
Nice.
Yeah, and YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, you just search for The Search for Aliveness. You'll see our channel.
Tell us what the search for aliveness is. What is the concept? And then I want you to back that question up with how has it evolved from when you guys were packing your bags up in Illinois, getting ready to go to Africa and Mexico and all that stuff. How has it evolved? So what was the search for aliveness and what is it today?
Well, it's always been where we internally at Tuthill, it starts with Jay Tuthill, the owner. He has this belief in aliveness, which aliveness for us is, the simplest form would be living the life you were meant to live, right? I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure your listeners and you've heard that all before, right? But it's really diving deep into being the person you were meant to be. And he really believes in humanity and his employees. And internally, we've been doing retreats and sessions and all these things to get employees to figure that out too. And one of the great things about it is, say an employee wants to, as Jay put it, for example, wants to write children books, right? Children books has nothing to do with manufacturing, but Tuthill as a company will help them live that life. So if they end up leaving the company and becoming a writer, it's fantastic. So it's not like we're trying to pigeonhole anybody into their positions or anything like that. We really believe strongly to live that life you want to live. So internally, that's how it's been. And we've been doing that, close to 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And when Chad and I went into this new department called Wake the World, which is our purpose, we were asked to come up with a project to go outside of Tuthill, right? And explore outside what aliveness is. And I was asked to come up with different ways. And since I did a documentary in the past for my brother, who's a veteran artist, and I really loved getting into film and figuring that stuff out, I said, let's do a documentary series. And thankfully, they said yes, and that's how that got started.
I'll be damned.
So
They said yes.
Yeah. which could you, think of that. We're a manufacturing company going out and asking people what they do to feel alive, just to inspire other people to live the best life they can. How awesome is that, right?
It's incredibly awesome. And like any great project, it's impossible. That is not supposed to happen. Jay Tuthill is not supposed to say, hey, I don't know what it costs to fly 3 people over Africa to Mexico, all over the States to grab these stories. But I can tell you it's more than $100,000, like in real cost,
All right. Well, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but yeah, you're hitting pretty close. And everything else. It's a big investment. It's a big investment. Right. And
you're a manufacturing company.
That's why we're on.
You're a manufacturing company. Why on earth is he doing it? Why spend 6 figures? Not to mention that he's got. I'm assuming that all 3 of you are Tuthill employees. Now you guys not only are a cost center, but you're spending money on the cost center project. So it's really expensive to do this. What causes Jay to want to do this project? Why does he believe in it so deeply that he's putting that much backing behind it?
Simply put, he loves people. He loves humanity. He loves to see the world live into its best potential. And, he loves his employees. Think about this. So Jay's doing this, right? It's coming from his profits. He's investing this. But think about the people that work. We have 600 plus employees.
Right.
Each one of them participates in this document. Without them, this wouldn't happen, right?
Okay.
So, there's a huge love that goes all the way around with everybody. And it's an awesome effort. It's an awesome movement. and we just hope it catches steam. And the documentary, you know, so back to your original question of the goal of it, the goal still stays the same of where we want to build a recipe for aliveness. What's changed is how we're going to do it. So what we decided to do, and what we're going to plan on launching this year too with season 2, is a web application on the website, on our website, where people could answer a few series of questions, and they'll gauge where they might have opportunities to grow in the categories that we feel are of surround aliveness, right? And then we're going to give them tips on how to better those areas, and we'll also show clips from past episodes that touch those areas of aliveness.
Right. Okay. So you're able to take some of the things you've learned along the way and start to create stepstones for people to match that kind of level of aliveness. Am I saying this right?
Yeah. So, you know, with the 5 categories, that's the other thing that changed. Connection and sachet, we called it, which was the full realm of emotions.
Okay.
The wordings of those 2 have changed. It's now connection has become belonging,
right? And
sachet, because it was an acronym and it was hard to explain to general public without having that knowledge involved in it, is emotional awareness, which we feel encompasses it even more whole. But the others are purpose, present, engaged. What did I say? Connection, or I mean belonging.
Yeah.
No, I got myself tongue-tied. I apologize. Let me start over. Purpose, present, engaged, belonging, energy, and emotional awareness. So those are the 5 areas that we, as we were out and exploring, we look at and ask our interview candidates about, right? And then we try to look for if anything else pops up while we're interviewing them that might be a separate category, right, or might be something that we attach to those categories. Like authenticity came out huge, right? And authenticity for us, and I feel like it, and from what I've heard from our team, is it falls in like being present, engaged, right? Being you, being right in the moment.
Okay. Talk about energy. I mean, everybody talks, you know, these things can all be very buzzwordy, and I don't want to sell your project short by not getting into that, but you say energy. No. I don't know what that means. Tell me what that means.
Okay. So for us, it's not just energy of it's body, mind, and soul, right? So it's energy as in keeping fit physically, right? Okay. It's energy of your mental energy, being able to wake up in the morning and be on path and having that energy, that mental capability. So energy encompasses a lot of different aspects of it. So it's not just like electricity or something like that. Right. It encompasses a full body, mind, and soul to give you that energy that you need to accomplish those goals that you might have set out.
All right. Well, I can appreciate that. And then let's just push this a little bit further, because again, like you guys say purpose, but you know, how do you know when you have the correct purpose? It's easy to, we talking before the show about your path to getting to becoming a documentarian. You know, you've sort of done it before with your brother, but that's not a path anybody would say this is how you become a documentarian, but you clearly know your purpose now. Talk to me about purpose.
So purpose is a real tough one. I mean, so when we interviewed Tim Kelly, who is he's a thought leader on that subject, you know, a purpose could be as if you're a parent, right? Raising your kid is your purpose, but it's actually more than that, because like Tim says, what happens when your kids leave home? Yeah. And a lot of retirees and stuff like that fall short of that. Like the kids are gone, they're good, they're healthy, they're gone. Right. You did your job. What am I doing now? So purpose is a really important aspect of aliveness. And it's not something that everybody has clarity on, including myself. You know, you said documentarian, but I'm still on a journey to find mine. I'm a little bit more clear in the sense that now that listening to Tim Kelly and practicing some of the things in his book and stuff like that, a purpose usually involves helping somebody else, right? It's not just about yourself or like learning a language or anything like that. It usually involves helping somebody else. So part of my purpose line, or whatever you want to talk about or how you want to say it, is I enjoy sharing people's stories, right? Okay. Now I need to fine tune that to a more of a niche, right? Is it small businesses? Is it large companies? Is it individual people? You know, like find that sweet spot that I enjoy doing, and then live into that. So it's a journey, and most people have it close, and they know what it is. They can feel it inside. If they say something out loud, they'll feel it in their body that it's something that they really enjoy doing and really are driven to do in service of another.
Yeah.
But then you have to fine tune what exactly you could do with the talents that you have to move forward on that purpose.
So it sounds like purpose can evolve over time, where you can accomplish a phase or a step in your purpose path, but then, you're looking for the next thing that you're going to do as you go down whatever that path or process is. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's totally fair. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because it's, first off, let's just say this. We push really hard here on charity, and I hope that we're annoying, because if we're not, then I'm not doing it hard enough, because I want adults to realize whatever you have, either you're in two positions. Either you're in a position where you need some charity and some help, and you should get used to that and get the help so that you can graduate up to the point where you have help to give, whether it's time, money, attention, presence, support. There's a lot of ways to do something, to donate your time or your capacity. So we push really hard on that, because it is vital. No one goes and does charity and says, man, this is horrible. I feel terrible about myself. I've made no difference today. It's like those aren't the values.
You're totally right. And everything you said it touches on it, and it's so important. And that at that high level, it is of service to others, right?
Right.
And like you said, but by helping yourself getting, oh my God, that's another huge one. And Megan, our last episode, Megan Murphy, who's editor at Good Housekeeping, she was the last person we interviewed. She talked strongly about moms, stay-at-home moms specifically, who are sometimes afraid to ask for that help, right? Because they feel like it's a sign of not being strong, right? Where it's actually the quite opposite. You be strong and have the courage to ask for help. And it is important to do that, to boost yourself up, because as soon as you get that, as you just said, you'll be able to help others.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is when you look at things like charity and service, this just in, Vito, it ain't supposed to be easy. If it was easy, the folks who needed the help would just do it themselves. They would just do it. So,
right?
Charity, like if it feels like, oh, I don't want to get up early on this Saturday morning to go sit and listen to someone talk about, guide dogs, and go and drive an hour each way. But that's part of it. That's part of the thing. Like you get up, you go do it, because now you're in the gym. You're in like the service gym, and you're working your back and you're working your quads, and you get done and you're like, I'm glad I did that. And sometimes it's wonderful and it pays immediate dividends, but you're always putting stuff in the bank, and it's such a dense, enriching event where you're supporting someone who's doing something special. You're getting something from that. They're getting something from that. All the people there, everybody is doing something in service. And you're right, having that purpose locked down, it's an amplifier to anything anyone does in life. And I can't encourage people enough to do things in service constantly.
Constantly. Yeah. That's another thing, just within reason, right? You don't want to overdo it, because you can overdo it and burn yourself out. But constantly have that in the back of your mind to serve others. And you could do it from, there's all sorts of ways to do it. I mean, as simply as writing a check, or from opening a door to a person, and this always in service or something of others to help out. Could be that. I don't suggest a check, only because I've been through that route, and I've well, for instance, for Africa, right? While we were there, we met a blind girl who, I don't want to ruin the story. I would love for people to watch the episode, but basically she needed some help, right? And the only way to help her, being where I lived in the States, was to give money to get her into a school for a blind, because she was 16 with a, like a 4th or 5th grade education, if that. Didn't even know how to count really. So that, just by doing that and helping her in that regard does make me feel better. And I know that it's making her feel better. I get letters constantly from the people that are being their guardians about her and stuff like that. But to be in person and to help one-on-one or one with a group is to me a more fulfilling. I mean, I still I'm still going to help her out as much as I can. You know what I mean?
Right.
For as long as I can. But that person to person, that connection of being with somebody, I think that's a lot more fulfilling.
We're talking with Vito Pellicano. You guys should definitely go check out their series. You can go to the search for aliveness.com, or you can go to their Facebook page. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram. And just, it's really neat, these interviews these guys do, and they start to illustrate what aliveness is. I love talking to Chad, and I have a real negative impression of corporate America, but I'll be damned. You guys over at Tuthill, and I'm saying this honestly, it's impressive, the culture you guys have created and nurtured where everybody's excited. You've worked there 12 plus years. Chad is such a fan of working there. You're talking about aliveness. If you love your job like that, how productive are the people at Tuthill? You guys must produce the hell out of stuff.
Yeah. Everybody, it's part of our core is to always reflect on ourselves at Tuthill, right? And always better ourselves. Part of a line that's taken from our, how vision, mission, value, brand that people have, corporates have, we call it our compass, right? A line in there is dare to make better. And it's not just dare to make better manufacturing that pump or whatever it is too. It's dare to make better for yourself. It's always about yourself and your job. And like I said earlier in this interview, and if it comes to be that this isn't what your purpose is or your plan in life, Tuthill will support you to get to that next level of your life. So we strongly believe in our people, and I hope the employees that are listening that may have doubts know that they're cared about, and we love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We're there for them. So,
well, it's well, look, let's also say this too. I deal a lot in culture, especially at the corporate level, to try to understand it. And one of the tests, you guys have already passed it. When Jay is creating this culture and he's like, hey, let's work on these things, I need to be able to, as the outsider, I need to be able to find it. And I'm finding a positive energy. You're talking about your compass. These are concepts that and you're clearly mentored and guided to we're not just saying this. This is not just a poster on the wall. Whoever your boss is, I guess Chad in this case, he's like, I need you to understand what purpose is. Go read this book. Let's talk about, and you spend time on the things that matter. All of a sudden, guess what, Vito? Those things matter. And I hear it in the words that you're saying, that your company really does value these things, and that's why the culture is working. Because you can say at every corporation they have these cultural things, but if it's not practiced, if it's not measured, if it's not celebrated, then it's not reliably going to be there. You might get lucky, but obviously you guys have cracked the code on that part of the culture, and I love hearing about it.
Oh, thank you. And going back to what you said too, is now think about our purpose. Our purpose, wake the world. It's a huge, monstrous, ginormous thing, right? It's not, a simplified, purpose driven. It's so wide. But what we did, and that is really to the core, is this term aliveness, right? And think about, like you said, corporate America and stuff. And I don't know, because I've only been at Tuthill. So I don't know about other corporations, but I do know from people that I talk to that they can't believe that a company would create time for their employees to develop themselves personally, versus just the task or the skill that they have for the job, right? But to develop themselves personally, right? Yeah. And that's totally cool. And you don't feel guilty about taking that time for yourself to really develop that. If you need a few minutes to sit there and work with one of the coaches that we have full-time coaches, life coaches that work at Tuthill, to work with them to develop yourself. It's those resources are there for whoever wants them.
Right. Yeah. And again, like you're really, truly, it seems like Tuthill really invests in its people in a way. Gosh, it sounds like an infomercial for Tuthill, and I think I'm going to apply for a job here in a minute, but, but it's infectious. You can see how it works, and the fact that, again, old man Tuthill is spending a lot of his own money investing in this concept of aliveness. And, it's not like, well, let's see how it goes. Let's do 2 episodes. He invested in 7 episodes, and now you guys are working on season 2. And it seems like, even if you're not getting all of your goals and everything and hopes accomplished, and I'm not saying you're not, you guys are stretching. You're going for bigger things now in season 2, and who knows where this ends up. It's such a righteous quest, and I love it.
Right. And, and set myself up personally for the goals of the documentary, because when I said it out loud and I got approved for the project, I'm thinking to myself,
yeah, now I gave myself a problem.
Right, I gave myself a monster. What does success look like to me, right? And then I thought, for me personally, if I could affect just a few people that would never known about the term aliveness, or never spent that time to think about themselves, if I could just change a few people's hearts or minds to think about that, to me, that's a success, right? And we've done that. We've done quite more than that. But, I was like, I held myself not at a lower standard by any means, but at a more comfortable feel, to get myself away from that fear of failure, right? So, and thankfully, like I said, with this company, we don't look at failure as bad. We look at it as an opportunity, right? As an opportunity to grow and become better.
Okay.
And I got to say, I don't know if you could tell by my tone, I'm not a corporate guy by means. And if you looked at me, you would be like, you work for corporate? But I have a strong BS meter.
Yeah.
I kind of know that from people I've grown up with and where I've grown up. I haven't, and if I didn't believe in what Jay was trying to do, I wouldn't be a stand for it. I'd hop and go.
Right.
I strongly believe in everything that he has to say. And like you said, I know this sounds like a total commercial, but it really is at the core of why this project exists.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it. I mean, I think what you guys are doing is going to make a difference. It'll continue to make a difference. And, the people, here's the other thing is, as you are doing this project, you're also giving back to other people that are, have found their purpose, and, they've found what aliveness means for them. And they get to have a little celebration too. It gets to be okay to say, hey, what you're doing is special, and we want to celebrate it. It's neat to be able to pass that gift along to someone else. And, we all have our moments of doubt, and you're like, oh, I'm terrible at this. And, but here comes the guys from Tuthill saying, hey, what you're doing is incredible. Can we talk to you for an hour? Or whatever it is. I love that aspect.
Right. Yeah. And when you talked about that doubt and that fear, right? We have an episode regarding that with our Say Yes episode. It was where we went skydiving for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was facing a fear of physical, but it was also emotional and everything, all the emotions that ran through it. But, Mike Seminoff and Marshall Miller, who he works for GoPro, what they said was say yes to those things that scare you, right? Because you don't know what's going to come out of them in the end. And you seriously should do that.
We were having
this, like, don't jump in a.
Yeah, we were having this conversation yesterday with Scott Husing, who's a co-producer, co-host on the show and everything. And he's like, we should go get OJ. And I'm like, that terrifies the hell out of me. I want no part of that. And so, but now I know like that might be an area for growth. And I still may not say yes to OJ because there's a lot of problems with that. But those are the kind of opportunities I am looking for. It's like, what makes me so uncomfortable that I'm not sure, what the outcome will be, and I recoil from it, and I push myself towards those things now. I'm not saying that we're going to go grab OJ because I find him to be a horrible person, but I bet if I talked to him, my opinion would change, and I would have a different understanding of who he was, and despite him being a homicidal, crazy person, I would have to reckon with the fact that there he is in front of me, talking to me like a regular human. And maybe he's reformed. Maybe he's rehabilitated. I don't know.
Hey, this is P.A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here. And if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
There he is in front of me, talking to me like a regular human. And maybe he's reformed. Maybe he's rehabilitated. I don't know.
Right. And, with that being brought up, so back to Megan on episode 7, she talked about finding the positive in negative situations. At night she does things with her kids about the highlight. What's the best part of the day? She's always trying to find positivity, even if there's negative involved, right? She talked about her father passing. I know as not quite the equivalence of a murderer, but her father passed of cancer, and she, instead of being distraught, and which she was, grief is there, But the positive that she found in there is to look for the good and see the good in it, that she was able to spend that time with her father and really learn and grow from him on what his legacy wants to be and clearly what her legacy will become, right? Because she had that time with him before he passed. Because fathers I could die tomorrow.
Right.
And my kids wouldn't have that time. So she looked for the positive inside that negative part of her life.
Yeah, and if you're able to find some positives even in the negative things, it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to meet someone or whatever. It gets a little less scary, and you do more things, and you again continue to grow. And if you haven't found aliveness, you're at least working on finding it. Like that chase is something. If you're chasing aliveness, you're getting better as a person as you get better at chasing it.
Right, and it's a good thing, right? So. Even if you, like you said, you interview OJ, well, you're interviewing him not in a negative light. You're interviewing to try to find that positive. So by pulling that out, what if that interview went in a way that where you changed OJ's mindset or whatever, something might be there where you caused a positive light in that man's life. You know what I mean? It could happen. Possible.
Yeah.
So.
And you might also find out that he's working with severe mental incapacity from playing football. I mean, we know that CTE riddles football players' brains. Why would we assume that his brain operates normally? People don't normally kill people. And so you might become a little more empathetic and compassionate towards the fact that, look, it doesn't absolve him of his crime, but you can at least say, this guy's got a brain that's working at 20% power, and I don't know that I would do a whole lot better. I've talked to boxers. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was going to even say that with boxers and other sports too. But and he, by you finding that out and knowing that he's working on it, that's a positive. If he was sitting here with no regrets and no consideration for others and anything like that, then it's a whole nother level. But who knows what you might find out with him?
Yeah.
I would love to interview Mike Tyson if he's listening. I'd love that interview, Mike Tyson.
Well, Mike's gettable. Mike does talk. He talks all the time. I would say he talks for a living now. So he for sure is gettable. It's just a matter of getting in front of him. Yeah, let's talk about that too. So Mike Tyson, who else would be interesting to you, or what kind of person, even if you don't know who they are, what kind of person would you want to talk to?
What kind? Oh, so I still would love to talk with people in the religious spectrum, like a Buddhist monk or a priest or something like that, to get their perspective. Mike Tyson, to get his perspective. He from what I follow on him, because I'm a fan, he's learning, grow, and he's giving back to others. And I would love to hear his story, and dive deeper into that aspect of his life versus what you always hear about just boxing, right? God, if I could just make, it's a hard question because I think about it often, but I can never land on a person. But I would just somebody that I know that there's two people. Somebody completely lacking or needing of opportunity in all aspects, and that's why we said we want to also interview regular people, just a regular Joe, right? You and me,
right?
Not a Mike Tyson figure, and get those spots where there is room to grow and learn from them. But then I also want to speak to the most alive person that somebody could ever think of, right? And if your listeners want to go to my contact page on Search for Aliveness and give me somebody that they think is the most alive person in the world that they would love to hear from, I'd love to get that.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, there's the big call.
How about you? Who would you love to hear from?
Okay, so this is actually a pretty good question because I want to do something similar to what you guys are doing. It's a different project. It'd be a documentary type series, but I'm working on provisioning it now. Basically, what would happen is I would get in a car and I would drive around the big western states. I wouldn't hit New Mexico or South Dakota, not for any reason other than just time and money. But all the rest, and not Alaska, not Hawaii. So those 4 states excluded, I would get as far east as Arkansas, and I would do interviews, hopefully 2 interviews a day in 20 different locations. And I would like to go to towns that are primarily less than 100,000 people, with a couple of exceptions.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and just talk to regular folks. And this is I haven't figured out a better way to explain this, but this is a very good way to explain it. Because people are not in a basket of deplorable people. They're regular people. And it's not a political thing. It's just to say, look, people have real lives. They have real concerns. They have real excitements. They have things they're proud of. They have things they're scared of. And to assume that who they are is something terrible is wrong. You know, we can do a lot better job of knowing who each other are. So it would be called The Story of Us, and it would be U.S, sort of a double meaning in that it illustrates who we are as a nation, but who we are individually, you know, and these people, they all matter, whether they're on an Indian reservation or they're Warren Buffett and anybody in between. You know, they're all people with real lives, real stories. And when we get too big, when we scope out too far and you just see the globe, you know, you say, that's the U.S. right there. You don't know anything about it, you know? And so that's sort of what I would like to do, is to go out and illustrate who the heck we are from the ground. 'Cause I'm a ground truth guy, you know, from the ground, and get a sense for, you know, what keeps you up at night, Vito? Like, ask people that question. You know, what's the government done for you lately? That kind of thing. And then you find out who they are.
Yeah. Right. And that's a fantastic project. Wow. That's awesome. And that's a monster upon itself too. And I wish you the best of luck on it. I know you'll succeed too, because that's phenomenal. I mean, and then I know you don't want to talk about politics, and I don't either, but just to touch on it a little bit, to get those both sides perspectives and showing that it doesn't matter that little box you check, you're still a human being with feelings, and there's a lot of similarities between you and an individual you might call deplorable, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa, right? And just getting past those barriers and showing up the way we're supposed to be, authentic, instead of by labeling ourselves as this political party, that political party, not. I mean, that's huge, and I love that idea of that project, because you know, you can, and if you were going to political realm, you can even have fun with it and say, I talked to this person. Guess what party they are in? You know what I mean? You'll see that they might say a left or right, and they'll see that it's a divide there, and you might see something where it doesn't matter. That label didn't matter in the first place, because they're just a human being with strong beliefs and just need a little bit more understanding.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I think so. I've been asking this question recently of people that I talk to. I would submit that the U.S. is more, as a population, is more of a bell curve, you know, with a high peak in the middle and two tails on each side. But what's presented, you know, through media and through social media is a bimodal or a multimodal population. And that's just not the case. You know, most of us, look, here's what I've learned being around the world, all kinds of places. Most people hate cancer. Most people love their kids. They want a better opportunity for their kid. You know, they're afraid of uncertainty. And these things are universal values that if you focus your attention on that and you slow down, oftentimes the thing that the person needs help with the most is directly in front of them. And I'm going to give you an example. For a long time for me, and I know personally right now of another veteran, and I'm a veteran as well, I wasn't able to get over the hump to pay my registration. And that problem only gets more expensive, and so only more impossible for me to solve. Like a simple check of, say, $1,200 would have solved that problem for me, and I wouldn't have to drive around in fear of losing my car, having it towed. You know, because if my car gets towed, I'm never going to get it out, because I also don't have the money to get it out of impound, because I don't have the $1,200 to get it ready. You know? So here's a super tiny problem that I could probably go to someone within 5 miles of that person's house and say, can you cut a check for $1,200 to help a veteran get over a hump that he can't otherwise get over? And you know what Jay Tuthill is going to say? Here's the check. Go help that guy out, you know, and it's over. And I'm not putting it on Jay, but I'm just saying there are so many people that would do that. It's not a problem where we need Congress to solve it. We can solve a lot of our problems ourselves as a community if we bother to be a community.
Well, you just touched on a key word right there, community, right?
Yeah.
And that's huge. If we were living in a community and we were living into aliveness and just that over, you know, of being a good person, a good human being, and not that party or line and all that kind of stuff, you know, government wouldn't be much needed, you know, because we govern ourselves and take care of those issues and problems ourselves, you know. And you know, back to what you said about Jay cutting a check, I got to say this though, I can't speak for him about cutting that check, but I know if there was a check, there would be an opportunity for you to grow as a person involved with it. It wouldn't just be, here's your money. Here's your money, but what are you doing?
I think.
What do you want to do in your life? And what do you? There'd be a lot more questions than this.
Yeah, but I mean, that's fair. Like, you're like, if you need, because here's the God's honest truth, right? At the time when I needed that, whatever they call it, $1,200, and I don't know what the money was, but it was more than I could put together in one time. I needed more help than just the $1,200. I needed a mentor.
And typically that's there.
Yeah, I needed these other things, and actually needed more than $1,200. That was just that problem. But these are things that can be solved. And then someone like Jay now has partnered with me, and he's mentoring me, and he's like, "Hey, let's get you connected to people. Let's get here, if these are your problems, dude, these are easy problems to solve. We're going to work on them one at a time. Let's get you here. Let's get you, And then all of a sudden, you've taken this person that is going in the completely wrong direction, desperate, maybe kill themselves. And now all of a sudden, like 2 years later, and we're no longer talking about me specifically, but 2 years later, this person is thriving, and they're giving back, and they're finding that next person who needs help. I mean, it's that fast. 2 years.
And it's contagious. It's contagious.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you get that kind of help, you get that check, you're not going to be like, well, I'm done helping. You're going to be like, someone helped me when I needed it desperately, and I'm so grateful. Let me give you help. And you're going to, not only pay it forward, but you're also going to, overpay back because you're so grateful. It's a really neat thing to be able to do that. Yeah.
It is. It's a really neat thing. Back to your, there was something you said, and it made me, and I had to go search it up so I could get the right words verbatim. But a thing at Tuthill that I just was, because they're constantly working on terms and things and models to work with to become more alive and to work together as teams. The Awaken You, we call it the Awaken You team. They're the life coaches and the people that are helping personal development, right? That's a team at Tuthill solely for that purpose, to develop the individual, right?
Right.
Well, they came up with a term called uncommon conflict. And I mean, think about this in your party lines and government day, right? The definition of that they have come up with is a celebration of diverse perspectives that bonds like-hearted teams to serve a mutual purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, just reading that and listening to that, could you imagine if Congress, if Senate, if all those people there
yes,
lived by that, that uncommon conflict, that would be amazing.
Talk about
I don't know if I could swear, but talk about get shit done. That would get stuff done.
That's my favorite congressperson, the person that gets shit done. I would rank my congresspeople, and I'm not putting anybody else, but how many bipartisan bills have you passed? How often are you putting parties subordinate to getting shit done? And if you're
and me as a person that doesn't want to label myself with the party, because I just don't want to label myself like that. I don't care what I just use that uncommon conflict to work together to get the things done that the people want.
Right?
Just get it done.
Yeah, it's
stop wasting our time and money.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't really align with the party, and even if I did, I wouldn't, because I align with people. I align with us. We're a democratic republic, or you could say we're a republic. You could say we're a democracy. It doesn't matter, because all those words mean the same thing. It all means the power is with the people, and that means that we can choose to solve whatever problems we want to solve. We can provision whatever we want to provision, and so I don't need a party to tell me what I'm supposed to believe. I know that, we take care of folks that need taken care of. We all pitch in some way. So you don't need a party for that. What I need is our politicians, our policymakers to get out and go do their job, and realize that you're right. You have to work together on these things. We had a conversation yesterday, and again, this is sort of political, but I'm trying to make a bigger point here. I'm using politics to make a bigger point. If you are a Republican senator and you talk about how there's 15 million people in your state, and you never represent the Democrats in that state, you're kind of a shitty senator. You're not.
Oh my God, yeah, right.
You're not doing your job. You're not representing your people. You're representing your party, and there are so many.
And then to bring it down to a company,
right?
Oh, go on. Sorry,
I was going to say there are so many problems that are party agnostic. You know, like we all agree that homelessness is a problem here in California. We all agree with that. Florida, same thing. You guys have a ton of homeless people. You know, that is not a Republican Party problem. That is not a Democratic Party. It's a human problem. And we should be, if we can't solve that problem, then let's slow down and pick fewer problems to solve, because it seems like we should be able to deal with that.
Right? I mean, oh my God. And we could put people on the moon, we could head towards Mars, and we can't figure that. We can. We are capable, strong individuals that could accomplish anything that we set our goals in mind to. You know, I truly believe that. And just bringing it down to a company, could you imagine working for a company where they're like, half of you I don't care about? You know?
Yeah.
Could you or put it in like a McDonald's?
Yeah.
Half of you I don't care about. I wouldn't want to eat a hamburger out of that place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree, you know, and wonder why folks don't vote. Let's get out of the politic thing altogether, though, because that stuff is it's such a sticky trap. But it is a good illustration, and I love what you just said about the whole thing where, you know, if it was a company and only half of the company or only 40% of the people had any kind of real representation, you'd be like, F this company, you know, and then productivity goes down. It's expensive. You know, that kind of lack of collaboration. Talk a little bit more about some of you've got 7 episodes. What moments stood out? Like what quotes, besides the CEO lady you mentioned earlier, what else stood out and really kind of got you to go, damn, I didn't, like you just gave it to me. If you take politics and put it into a company setting, it changes how you see it and it becomes a lot more clear. What are some of those moments that you picked up along the way?
Well, a lot of them really have been simple moments that I was, you know, sometimes you get smacked in the face with these simple things that you just needed to put in your face again, right? So, like for instance, Jim Peter, you know, his creativity, because I feel like, well, we're all creatives, right? It doesn't matter if you think that you can't draw or anything. Everybody's creative, but you know, as a creative person, I really attached myself to that of being in the moment, being present and engaged, and then when you get that idea, don't let it go. Write it down. Do whatever you have to do. Talk in your phone as a voice memo. Record that idea that you have. Yeah. Because, and you know as well as I do, as soon as that's gone and you move on to raking leaves or doing something else, you're going to forget about it. It's never going to come back. Or it's possible it'll never come back. So something simple as that. Just recording and journaling those moments while you're being present, engaged, and reflecting on something that might become really creative and really inspiring for you or other people. Document it. Don't lose those gifts.
Yeah, and we had another guy on the show a while back, and I love what he said. He gave me a different perspective that I find useful all the time. His name's Matt Mossler, and he's a professional ski bum, you know, and that sort of undersells what he does. But he says, you know, collect joy, go out and let nature give you awe and wonder, you know. And it's like, well, damn, nothing about that sounds bad. I mean, I've got to go outside. That's good for me. You know, like it's like so many things about that make perfect sense. And then I always like to talk about, like, when you talk to people and you ask them, when was the last time you were pissed and angry? They always have immediate examples, and it was within minutes of the time we were talking, you know? But if you said, when was the last time you had unbridled joy, like uncontrolled arms in the air, like, yes, oh my God, when was that? And they have to stop and they really have to think. And it's not within the last 12 hours, you know? That balance should be changed.
Oh, totally. It's totally changed. And think about how your daily life would be if you were living into what you were meant to be, right? Every day you'd be waking up. You know, Tom Carmazzi, our old CEO, he said something, you know, thank God it's Monday. Like that kind of feeling. We're not like, oh, man, it's Monday. I got to get to work. You're like happy and you're jumping out of bed to run to work or do whatever it is that you do, ski, whatever it is that you're truly enjoying and living. How awesome is that, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you ask that question to that person, when's the last time you did something happy? They'll say, today.
Exactly. Today. And if you don't, what if you were able to create that moment for someone? We have this character that we do around here. His name is Solomon, and he's very angry, but he's full of love. He's like a dog. You know, dogs sometimes are so happy to see you, but they only know bark, 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 bark. You know, like you're like, I think you're happy to see me, but I'm not convinced. He's sort of like that. And we took John Tesh's rule that hugs should last 20 seconds and decided, like, you know, and we're like, listen, motherfucker, you better hug somebody every day. 20 seconds, 20 pounds of pressure all around. 2020 in 2020 every day. But if you really did go hug someone, and because we know through science that hugging actually makes you feel better. Weird. If you hug someone really well and you were the best hugger in the office and you gave those hugs out all the time, first off, you'd be a hugging motherfucker, and second, you would be a joy to be around.
Oh my God! Yeah. We have a guy named Gus now. So I'm on the other side of that, right? And real quick about the anger.
Yeah.
Most angry people that I've met that characterize like you characterize Solomon. You said his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have more love to give than most.
Right.
And it's hidden behind that. They're very caring individuals. That's why they're probably angry most of the time. But back to so we have Gus, and unless you're in my like circle, and one of the boys or girls, that's where you get the hugs, right?
Yeah.
But we have this guy Gus, and he loves to give hugs, like you said, right? And I'm not one that, I'm outside my circle, like, don't touch me, But at first it was like that, and then the second time it was like that, and the third time, and then I got to know Gus and know who the person is, and that he's a loving, caring, awesome human being.
Yeah.
And now I see him, I want that. It's like I want that hug.
Mm-hmm.
The hugs are contagious.
Hug is the gateway drug to love.
It is. Get past that whatever phobia it might be.
Well, that's fear, right?
Just uncomfortable personal
You're
touching
afraid of a hug.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, man, I love it. I love what you guys are doing. I love that the company is behind this, because it's so atypical for a company to do something like this. It's common for them to say it, but here you guys are. You're not just walking the walk, you're funding the walk. And again, everybody I've talked to from Tuthill is just like, hey, I love it there. I'm never going to quit. I'm in a great environment. And then if I do quit, it's because we all agreed that this is the other thing that I should be doing next. How about a company that's like, yeah, we want to help you do the next thing? What?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we need to know about
awesome.
season 2?
And
go ahead.
Real quick on that, though, because you sparked something I really want to lay out there. So we're not perfect by any means, though. We have people that are not on a journey or not want to be on a journey. It's not like 100% of the company. There's people that are still doubtful, and that's okay. And I don't blame them at all. But if they are listening and want to do this, I would say just give that trust and give it a chance and say yes to what we're up to. You know what I mean? Because it is. We're all on this journey, and by working together and being together and building that uncommon conflict and uncommon trust together, it could be awesome. You know what I mean? I have to say that. So for season 2, it's Japan. It's heading out, like I said, a customer, an employee. We'd like to spotlight possibly an employee too. Let me get my notes here so I'm not screwing anything up. What else was on there? Yeah, employee. Jay Tuthill will be our last episode of this next season. So I can't tell you what he's going to talk about because I don't think that's been flushed out. I know there's a new model that he's working on regarding aliveness, and that could come out there. He'll be touching on that recipe, I'm sure, too. But he'll be our last episode of this year. And we're trying to get, you ever hear of Ron Finley?
Nope, never heard of him.
Urban gardener.
I've heard of Steve Finley. He's a Saluki.
No, I don't know.
He's a baseball player, and he went to Southern Illinois. That's all. That's my Finley for you. Sorry. Good. Please continue.
All right. He's an urban gardener out in L.A. And what he does is he finds these spaces that aren't used or underdeveloped or anything like that, and he puts gardens there where people could plant food,
nice,
tomatoes, things like that, and people in the community, and then they could eat off that or share off that, and it's just building a community, right? So we'd love to get him. He's on our scope to try to get this year. So that's about 5 to 7 episodes. We also have people that we filmed already from last year,
right?
That we might try to fit in. Now, I'm not only the creator director, I'm also the editor, so I got a lot of work of trying to get these episodes out. That's why you've only seen 7 last year. It's
a lot of work. I'm working on this project called the Prison Chronicles, and I thought it was going to come out last Thanksgiving.
It's a lot of work.
It's so much work. And as soon as you get through part of it, you go back and you listen, you're like, I suck at this work. I got to go, and you're always polishing. And I'm not a perfection
Oh
guy.
my God.
'Cause I got to get things out, but it's a lot of work. So I can appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate why you guys are doing it. And I just, I love the Tuthill mission, man. I love that you guys are out there. You certainly don't have to do it. And that's why I love it even more is you're taking something that is not cheap. It takes a lot of time and has nothing to do with manufacturing, and yet has everything to do with who you are as a company. And you're a manufacturing company. I love it, man. I love it.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to let
I
you ask
appreciate
me a
that.
couple
Thank you.
questions now. I mean, you've been on the road. You guys have done the interviews. You've seen Chad do his magic. What do you want to ask me?
What is it that you? So you said you serve others. You do as much charity as you can. But what is it that every day that you could do that would feed that aliveness within you?
The thing that I try to do is I try to do several things. I try to feed my brain. I try to feed my body. I try to get my main tasks done. Every day a show goes out, 5 days a week, right? Bam, bam, bam. So I'm always doing those basic things. And those things in and of themselves are powerful generators of aliveness. But then I'm always sprinkling things in like charity, supporting another author or supporting a person with their project. And I wouldn't call that charity. Like that's just like service to my community in general. So those are the things that I focus on. And obviously, trying to maintain my relationship and with my daughter and my girlfriend. And that's it. Like that's a full plate, but it's a plate filled with creating value, not just for myself, but for others.
Right. Now look at that. So the reason I asked you that certain question is now if you take those 5 things that we talked about, right?
Yeah.
Connection, belonging, truly shows up in that, right? With your daughter, your family, and you talking with me today, you're connecting people, right?
Yeah.
That's and you're really strong on there, right? Present, engaged. You say you want to take the time to feed your body and your mind, right? That shows up in energy and in being present, engaged. You're truly an authentic person, which I could tell. Like I said, I have a big BS meter, and just talking on the phone, I could tell you're an authentic guy.
Nice.
I mean, that shows up in being that present and get engaged. Full realm of emotions, right?
Yeah.
Do you embrace all those? Do you embrace those sad times, not just the happy times? Do you look into those sad times, those bad moments, finding not just the good and the bad, but learning from them of why you can be sad and what opportunities might, if you feel that way, that could come out of those, right? That's that emotional awareness piece. How often do you do that?
I mean, look, I've got a podcast where I talk to people. I cry for a variety of reasons, at least once a week on the show. I've got to hold it together. I can't have a full blown cry, but joy, pride, obviously sadness. So many reasons for me to well up, and that bears itself out in the movie theater. If there's an emotional moment, there's a good chance that I'm welled up over there trying not to cry too much. I don't want to get boo-hoo-hooing while we're watching a movie.
Right. But any man that says that you're a sissy for crying is a sissy themselves. That's all I have to say about that. Everybody needs a good cry.
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I holding those back and out. Yeah.
No, yeah. I don't have to hold them back. And I'm, anybody that wants to challenge my manliness is welcome to go, grab the rucksack, walk next to me. I don't worry about that stuff anymore. But you're right. Like having emotions, all of them is fine, especially because sometimes shitty emotions, you don't get them often, but you get better at dealing with it and understand that, happiness is wonderful when it happens, but it's temporary. Something's going to replace that. Same thing with grinding sorrow, where you're just like, I can't bear this.
Right.
You can, and it's temporary, and you'll get another emotion soon, So the more, it's like those hugs. I'm not saying you need to go out and find sorrow all the time, but the more often it happens, the better you get at dealing with it.
Right. And it's when those emotions occur is don't let them go. Look into them and see what's there for you, Yeah. And then the last piece after I asked you that first question was came out as purpose, right? You seem like a purpose-driven person. So thank you for answering that. And in my view, as well, I'm going around looking at this, you're living a pretty alive life. I mean, there's always opportunity to grow, but just hearing from you and what you're driven to do and the way you're speaking with people, I salute you, man.
Well, thanks, and I salute you guys. We're sitting there saluting each other. Hey up, render on or arms. So yeah, it's great. Everybody should go check out the work. Obviously, if you want to work with this fantastic company, again, not an infomercial, I just love what they do. You can go to Tuthill and apply for a job there. But it's the Search for Aliveness. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, also at searchforaliveness.com. And these are really neat. It's a neat web series, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. Everything we've talked about is stuff that I want more of, and I'm already trying to do it, but I know better. I know I can do more. So,
Right.
Vito, thanks for
Always
coming on.
more.
Thanks for spending the time. That's an easy hour, right?
Yeah, it was an easy hour. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.